Time for World Edition. We're going to do it a little bit different way today, as I did it on a different folder, and that was by accident and all along those lines. But we're still going to see what's happening in the world, and hopefully our folks will join us as well, and they'll tell us what they've got going on in their world as well. I know I sent them the link and all along those lines, but a number of things are taking place in the world, and we'll be reporting on those and seeing what folks have got to say about a number of these things that are taking place around the world and around the globe. So definitely a lot's going on. And of course, we're glad to be reporting on these various news stories and seeing what folks have got to say about a number of these things that are taking place in the world and around the world. So definitely ought to be interesting to see what folks have to say about what's going on. I understand that Elon Musk is actually saying some negative words about the positive budget and all along those lines. So I did see that in the news earlier where he was upset at Trump to that, what folks think about that particular news story and all along those lines. So that is definitely something that people are paying attention to and seeing what's going on in that space. So definitely we'll see how folks react to this news item and what goes on in that regard, because that's definitely something that people are talking about and wondering about as well. So definitely be interesting to see folks' reactions to a number of these stories and how they are playing out in the news and all along those lines. And so definitely it'll be very interesting to see how folks react to a number of these stories. Hoping Rick Rosner will be joining me shortly, and hopefully he can have some insights into some things that he's seeing, as well as also Jacoby also, and definitely some of our others regulars as well. But yeah, Elon Musk attacked Trump's big beautiful tax bill as outrageous. So definitely that is something that folks are talking about in the news and around the news. He has privately expressed frustrations on a range of recent moves by the Trump administration, and definitely that is something that we're seeing as well. So the White House is standing by the tax bill after Musk calls it a disgusting abomination. Yeah, abomination. Or I think I mispronounced that word, but Rick will correct me because he is a master at Mensa and all of that other stuff as well. So steel tariffs are doubling, and Congress is asked to eliminate public broadcasting funds. So definitely with steel tariffs doubling down, a North Carolina manufacturer wonders how to compete. And I saw an article yesterday where one of the popular Chinese restaurants here in Durham, North Carolina, is getting ready to go under new management. And part of the reason they're going under new management is because of the tariffs and the impact of the tariffs and all along those lines. So definitely it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that way. And Iran's commanding is dismissing U.S. nuclear proposal, vows to keep enriching uranium. So he's looking to keep it on enriching uranium and seeing how that goes and what happens in that regards. And at least 27 were killed after Israeli soldiers opened fire near a Gaza aid site, and that was reported on yesterday. So that's something that folks are still talking about in terms of global situations and even threats to global peace and all along those lines. Trump's special envoy warns that Ukraine's bold attack on Russian air bases is raising risk. So definitely it'll be interesting to see what goes on in that, as Ukraine's Operation Spiderweb hit at least 13 planes, is what the visuals are showing. And I'm sure that there was a lot of reporting on that from Sasha's show on yesterday. The next one will be on Tuesday, as he's over there, I want to say in Eastern Europe, trying to remember which country he's at and all along those lines. In fact, he was in Prague, I believe. That's where he was yesterday and everything. And the UK Prime Minister is calling for a bigger military to face Russia. So UK prepares for war, and we'll find out how much that's going to cost as well. So Britain doubles down on defense with new nuclear submarines. Britain's defense review has grand ambitions, and definitely that's something that folks are talking about as well. And South Korea's new leader named checked North Korea. So definitely South Korea's new leader, Lee Jae-myung, pledges to unite a divided country. So definitely we'll see how this goes as he attempts to unify the Koreas. And Rachel Reeves thinks that must think big to fund labor battle ready Britain. And definitely that's something going on in Britain. And some folks are asking why Gert Wilder's plan to become a Netherlands leader may well backfire. So Gert Wilder, Dutch's government collapses as far right leader exits of the coalition. And North Korea has pulled a capsized warship upright after a botched launch. So that's something going on in North Korea as well. And Russia is reeling from the drone attacks. Ukraine is targeting the vital Crimean bridge, and that is something that I know even Jonathan Lockwood and others on the Russia-Ukraine China show have been talking about. I think they were expecting this to happen much earlier than this particular time frame, and all along those lines. So definitely, there's a lot going on in the world. We'll get to more of this and maybe even some other stories. But right now, let me bring in Rick Rosner and, of course, Dr. Sharif as well. So we've actually got a different background because I actually made this link on a different site. These
So
things happen.
it's Disgusting Abomination, which was also my stripper name.
Okay. That was your stripper name, huh?
Disgusting Abomination to the stage, please. No, that's you know that's what I annoy my wife with by saying that was my stripper name. I used to, instead of that's what she said, which is what my
That's
niece
what she
got
said.
to say on The Office. So
Rick, I have few questions for you.
you
Rick,
have
I
Two
have few
questions for
questions
you.
for
okay,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. Number one, like you have involvement with Hollywood, like script writing or something like that.
Say again.
You have a like professionally you involved with Hollywood for script writing or something like that.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, okay. Just
I
I, ju-
wrote
I
jokes for TV. I mean, I didn't write that much long form stuff. I wrote little, 40 words, 20 words at a time. Yes.
Okay, okay, okay. So, uh, like, if you share some of your views, how Hollywood, because recently we are developing some media-related activities. So, how does it works? How you write the scripts, like your professional experience. I can
So I
share
mean, well,
this.
you probably want to start by getting a script writing at. Well, with AI now, AI can help way too much with formatting, and people frown on using AI too much, but you need to be able to format the scripts, and there's to make it the material look correct on a page. People won't take you seriously unless your script looks like a script, and there is right there's screenwriting software called Final Draft that most people
Mhm.
use, and then when you have a product, when you've written a script, a story, then you have to go pitch it. And generally, media companies will not take a pitch from you unless you have an agent.
Right.
Having an agent shows that you've been skilled enough and professional enough to get representation. Not just any person off the street can go pitch their ideas. So you want to get an agent, and then the agent will set up meetings with you and production companies.
Mhm.
And you also network. If you live out here, you try to run into people and pitch them quickly ideas. There's a thing called an elevator pitch, which is if you met
Mhm.
somebody in an elevator, could you tell them your idea in the time you have between floors? So you have like a one sentence pitch.
Right.
But let's say you get an agent, you have a script or an idea, then you go pitch. And the problem is the people who hear pitches, like for Comedy Central or for a movie company, they hear 1,000 pitches a year, and they can only buy like half a dozen. So their
Right.
job is mostly to say no, or to say, well, I like it, but do more work on it, make these changes or expand this, and come back. I talked to a guy at the gym who has seen a lot of stuff, and I said, how many pitch meetings do you need to take before you sell something on Amazon? He said 100. It takes
Wow.
a long time to get stuff made. People do not easily part with their money and resources to make your idea.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, and that's some good advice that you gave and everything. Hey, Rick, there was a popular TV show about agents and everything, and I'm trying to remember the name of the show, and it was set in California, but it was all about three buddies.
Yeah,
Huh?
Entourage.
How representative was that of the agent lifestyle?
I think it was. I didn't watch it. I barely saw any of it, but it was fairly well regarded. I think people thought it was pretty realistic in that, you know, if you're successful, if you can produce, if you can make stuff, write stuff, act in stuff that makes money for production companies, you can get away with all sorts of bad behavior. So,
Oh,
yeah, but you know, I mean, the behavior used to be worse. There used to be, you know, in the 1970s, they like to talk about, you know, how there was a ton of cocaine in Hollywood and behind, you know, the scenes at Saturday Night Live. And, you know, my time working on, as part of a writing staff, we had no cocaine. What we had were fiber gummies, which are little things you chew and they help you poop, because we would spend so much time at our desks writing that we'd get constipated. So it's a much more hardworking business than it used to be, I think.
yeah, that makes a lot of
Interesting.
sense and everything.
Yeah.
Yeah, very so.
I want to add some point, like example, country like Bangladesh, our media industry and everything is growing. And if you see our audience heavily dependent on this India, this Mumbai, this Bollywood industries.
Yeah.
They are heavily, and especially the southern part of India, they are developing all of the big movies and all of the things. So in Dhaka, the big industrialist, big businessmen, they are also investing in these movies and all of the things. So I'm just thinking with this Spot TV, with our network, with our relationship, how we can help the media person to develop something classic, right? Because for
Well,
example,
you have a huge viewing public. So India, 1.4 billion people. That's more than 4
Mhm.
times the US's population. And Bangladesh, 171 million. Put them together, you have more than 1.5 billion people to watch things. So yeah, if you can make products that people enjoy in your region, never mind the rest of the world, you've got 1.5 billion people to now they have less, so ticket prices are less for you guys.
that is the things I always say to Nick. Nick, this is the huge market, billions of people. Even in Bangladesh, right away, 171 million people. Even yeah, actually, Nick become very popular in Bangladesh. Maybe
171 million people.
yeah.
in
So
Bangladesh.
things is that if we can make something classic, right? You have to make something like Hollywood, what we are observing in Hollywood. They say all of the things, interesting things. If we can make through the media is something we can change the mindset of the people, and it has huge demand. All of the big business organization always love to invest in media. So just how this talent and finance and this cultures, like cultural interaction in North America and South Asia, how we can do that, how we can make things happen. That will be productive. Yeah.
It doesn't have to be classic. It just it can be something as simple as a game show. Who Wants to Be a Millionaire ran in 50 countries, was huge, made a ton of money in every country it ran in. It even turned into the movie Slumdog Millionaire in India. So you can come up with a simple game show idea. They're cheap to produce.
Yeah.
You can. That is the way to go.
No,
Yeah, Dr. Sharif, that's your job, is to find out what they will listen to.
Yeah, Professor Nick, you are billionaires, you play golf, you love Trump, you live in Spain, you are rich man.
I
So
love
invest
Trump.
for the futuristic people, right? Invest for Bangladesh and make things happen. Make your, you go for 10x growth.
I'll wave my magic wand and we'll get 100 million followers in
Or
Bangladesh.
Jatovi can come up with
And
a
maybe
video
Jatovi can
game
think of something.
that fits on most cell phones. It fits on if you can come up with a video game or
Wait,
a,
let
or
me
a-
ask you this. Let me ask you this question because I've never been to your country. Do they have Bangladesh has talent? Because what I've seen when I travel is that the foreign countries, they steal all the good American media ideas. So there's Britain has talent. There's Spain has talent. They have all these places. Do you have a show like that in
Nick,
Bangladesh?
there's a slight Nick, there's a slight problem to what you just said. We actually
What?
stole that from Britain. We actually stole that from Britain. As Jacoby
Well,
will tell you,
it's
they
fair.
actually did it first.
It's
Nick,
fair to
very
steal.
good idea.
But by
Very
the way,
good idea.
Mark, you're
Nick,
broadcasting
Nick.
on some other network because I couldn't find you on StreamYard. I have no idea what you're broadcasting.
Nick, it's a very good idea. Maybe you and me, like Pod TV and Talent Economy, we can initiate this show, right? And
Well, let me ask you this question because the thing is, what you do is you try to follow the successful models that are done already. Like I was trying to get on this show, but I can't because Mark broadcast in some other format. I have no idea what he broadcasts on. But when you learn things like they say add breaking news and your percentage of viewerships increase like 20-30%, immediately you add breaking news. In other words, basically you borrow the best ideas or steal them, however you want to call it, and you incorporate it into what you're doing. All right. So that leads me to the question, counselor. I asked it again and hadn't got an answer yet. Do you have a show, Bangladesh Has Talent, in Dhaka? No. Okay. Now you see where the opportunity lies. You know, these shows are not that expensive to produce. They draw a lot of viewers. And what you do is we just create the show, Dr. Sharif, Bangladesh Has Talent, and you invite people on, just like we're doing here, except they share their talent. Now, when I invite people here, the people who show up don't have any talent. That's the reason they talk. Okay. So the thing is, wait, Rick has a comment about that. Go on, Rick.
so you don't need talent. All you need is to get people to take their clothes off. MTV used to have a show called Pants Off, Dance Off. And
You
people
can't do that in a Muslim country. You're talking a Muslim country. They don't do stuff like that. What they need to do is, first of all, you got to go see the shows, Dr. Sharif, in America, America Has Talent, whatever. Okay. Now we may not be able to use Has Talent because you get sued for you stole my copyright, my idea. So it could be talent in Bangladesh. That's all you have to do, make a minor change. Talent in Bangladesh or world talent in Bangladesh. You just change the name a little bit. Then the concept is the same. You invite people around your country to showcase their wares. And it could be something like they dance, they sing, they do magic tricks. They do all sorts of weird stuff. And, it becomes a show, and those shows become extremely popular, but you have to go see them because you're telling me already that you guys aren't doing it. Why not? I don't get it. So go on. Yeah, Dr. Sharif.
Yeah, this is a really great idea. Let's do it.
It's a great idea.
Yeah, definitely. Let's do it and make things happen. Like
of course it's a
Pod
great
TV,
idea.
and we work together. Then we can make things happen, and maybe we can invite corporation for a sponsor and all of the things.
Yeah, the thing is, Dr. Sharif, it's like this. Years ago, people wanted to steal. They go to banks, right? You don't have to go to a bank to steal and get rich. You just steal somebody else's idea. So the thing is, what you do is you find out who have and ideas. You can't grab them. You can't hold on to them.
If enough people have the same idea, then it's not stealing.
Oh, well, that's true. When I applied for some of the trademarks, I got rejected because they call it highly descriptive. It's too easy, basically. So if you're getting patents and trademarks and copyrights, you need to have something that's unique and non-descriptive. This is not unique. It's a proven concept, and yes, you're going to get tons of people there. And then the people here are the judges, and judges, you either go yes, you go to the next round, or no, you don't, and you're down. Good for you, but you're gone, good and gone, or else.
What you want to do is hire Jacoby to develop a quiz show that fits on a smartphone. The U.S. had this for a while, and the whole millions of
quiz shows are tough.
They're
Quiz
easy
shows
to
are tough
run. They're easy
internationally because
but
their trivia stuff is different. A
Nick.
talent show is not very hard to put on.
Nick, did you see? Before I join, all of your participants in Pot2V just go for fight. When I join, I'm talent. I make a productive discussions, and all of them, the Jatovi, Hughes, Rick, and Mark, everybody is productive.
Yeah, also, if you look at the talent show, Sharif, you get away from all the arguments, the political arguments. There's no political argument. You get somebody in there that dances, and looks cool dancing, or you get somebody who, like Jacoby, jumps up and down when I say something, and then people go, yay. I mean, they like it. I don't know. So we could put on Bangladesh Has Talent, or Talented Bangladesh. And remember, in the United States, they don't know anything about your country. They don't have half the people have a clue where it is, let alone anything else about it. So we'll actually give your country a lot of pizzazz. And speaking of which, Mark, we have a new show coming in from Spain, right? Today at 6 Eastern. Mark's asleep. He flipped me to another network, so I have no administrative control, so I can't move Mark around or do anything. But let's do Talented Bangladesh. And the other thing is, Sharif, you could actually do, they call it B-roll. You can actually take pictures of what the city looks like and what some of the countryside looks like, what are your famous sites. I mean, it's really a showcase for your country, because you have no showcase in the United States of America. There isn't any. And this will be your showcase to about 2.3 million people. What?
Here's how you do a modern talent show. You make it fit. You make it like you marry it with TikTok. You make the show.
Oh, we're definitely going to do it with TikTok.
But you put it on people, make it so it works on people's phones, and you can show off your talent for as many seconds as you can keep, like 1/4 of your viewing audience up voting you. Once enough of your audience has had enough of you, they move on to the next person. And then you go to semifinals, where the people who manage to keep people's attention the longest amount of time compete against each other. And
you're spot on. That's exactly what you do. And by the way, we just got a license with TikTok, so we can do TikTok live. I can tell you, working the administrative part of it is complicated. Kim's got it down to science. I do not, because you have to press all these buttons in the right order to get it to flip through TikTok. But we will get an instant 20,000 people watching it on TikTok. But who knows? It could be 200,000. You beam through Bangladesh. We advertise about it. You could get 1 million, 2 million viewers, Dr. Sharif. In other words, captivate the whole country and the whole world, talent in Bangladesh. But what you're doing on World Talent Economic Forum, you're bringing talented eggheads together, and people, there's only a small group of people who are smart in the United States. There's Rick and no one else. Okay. So because of the small group of people, they, you don't get these big demographic draws. Now, if you have people dancing, if you have people singing, I can't dance, I can't sing, but it doesn't matter. You bring in people who can dance, sing, and jump up and down and do magic tricks and whatever the heck they do. Then you're going to get a big audience. It's just going to happen.
Also, you can offer 1 million. What's the name of your currency?
Yeah, Bangladeshi Taka. Bangladeshi Taka. Taka.
Okay, so you can offer a prize of 1 million Bangladeshi Taka, and that's about $8,000 US, and that is.
Oh, we can do that. Who wants to be a Bangladeshi millionaire? 1
million is that's about 3 years of the average Bangladeshi income. So it's a substantial prize. And yeah, so
Yeah, you're right.
you know,
I spent
I have
that. Hey, I spent
Nick,
that the last couple days, Rick. I mean,
Nick,
I was buying stuff
I have
like
a
crazy.
better proposal for
Better than
based on
this?
okay.
yeah, better proposal.
Okay,
Let's
I'm
say
listening.
Bangladesh, Pakistan, even there is a huge amount of Muslim community. There is 2 billion people is a Muslim. If you see that Saudi Arabia also opening their cultures, there's all of the things. Dubai is another good place. Malaysia is a brilliant place, right? Indonesia, lot of peoples. Uh, Even Trump come to Muslim countries, get trillions of dollars, right? And he get it, all of the business and everything. If we can do something with these progressive Muslim communities, maybe the Khalifa Rashid bin Maktoum can invest in our idea. Maybe the Saudi
you're right.
royal family can invest. Yeah.
Oh, hold on a second. Are we starting a new contest here? Hold on a second, Nick. Are we starting a new contest where we're gonna have Trump basically trying to get another jet? Because I mean, he already got one from Dubai. So it sounds like Sharif
Yeah.
wants a new contest where we're going to like have the different countries vie to give Trump a gift and everything like that. So this could be the new contest.
Yeah, well, we could do something like that, but I like Sharif's idea. We open it up to other countries. You know?
All right. Well, here's another thing. You keep talking about the Muslim population. You need to do a Quran-based quiz show. Where,
Yeah, but
it's
yeah,
a good
so
idea, not bad. Good idea.
the hard
But
part of the
definitely,
quiz is you've got to have somebody be able to write the questions and judge the
yeah, but
answers.
there are millions of skilled writers in
Yeah,
Bangladesh. What you need is a good fact-checking department to make
All
sure
right,
that
but-
every answer is
yeah, you have
correct.
to have the facts. But what is more popular? The talent you've got talent, the singing and dancing shows, or the quiz shows?
Well, hold on a second. There may be
I
a
want
catch
to
to
say
this that could be good for you,
singing.
Nick. Hold on a second. There could be a catch that could be good to this because I want to say that Coco's friend that is in Morocco, a country that you have been to, is actually of Muslim background. So I want to say Fahim or Fasil, something like that. It's an F name and everything. But she at one time was running. Her family had a restaurant. I think they still have the restaurant, but the restaurant was also a nightclub. So she brought Coco and she brought other musicians down to perform. So she would have access to both United States musicians and musicians in that area. So maybe we can get her and Coco involved in the creation of this new show that we're going to create for Dr. Sharif. So
Yeah. I mean,
Yes.
it could even be hey, Mark, because we broadcast in 120 to 150 countries, we could have a world talent show. We just need to bring on the talent,
Yes.
which means none of us will be on the show except as analysts.
we had a
because
world talent show. Don't you remember? Don't you remember Miss May from South Africa? She had talent all the time on her show, as did Grant.
She had Grant, Edmund, and stuff like that. But the thing is, we could bring a talent show. Dr. Sharif loves the world, so we could have a world talent show. Yeah, Dr. Sharif.
Yeah, we can do that. And as my World Talent Economic Forum, I think today I also get call from YC members. They are very much interested about these things. I can connect all of the high quality things. I don't know, maybe.
Do you have any talented people in Bangladesh? People that sing, dance? You do.
Well, they got singers, they got dancers, they got everything.
There's no talent in Durham, so we're looking for some worldwide talent.
If you join my
Wait, Jatovi's laughing.
There's plenty of talent in Durham. We got Grammy Award winners, and Toby knows that just like I know that.
Have you ever seen any talented person from Durham on a worldwide network? No, because there's no talent in Durham.
Yes.
What, you have?
World
talent.
You ever heard of Shirley Caesar?
No, I haven't heard of anybody. I don't. I live in Spain. Is she in Spain? No.
So she's not in Spain, but she performs in Spain.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Then I'll see her when she's in Barcelona. Okay, so we can do a world talent show. We have a show coming on this evening, right, Mark, from Spain?
It's going to actually be from Miami, but it'll be a Spanish show, which is actually where the glitch on this particular show was because I was creating the links
Yeah.
and I created them on this link because that's where that show is, and accidentally
Really?
created
Okay.
the World Edition show on this link as well.
All right. And so what I'll do is I can pick it up on Pod TV Live. I mean,
Yeah.
Pod TV, www.podtv.tv, which is what I'm
Yes,
watching
yeah.
right now.
Nick,
know,
Yes.
when I can start this show, this World Talent Show?
How many people do you have lined up to be on the show, Dr. Sharif?
Hundreds. Don't worry.
Okay,
I
once
have
you
a
get the
big
people lined up, we can start it. I mean,
We
look,
can,
it's
we
not.
should start the show
Hey,
next.
Dr. Sharif, it's
We
not
can
that
start the
hard.
show next week.
We can start it next
Next
week.
week?
Okay,
Yeah,
as
next
long-
week. Next week.
Yeah,
I
this
can
is-
start with music. I have a very talented guy from music industry.
Yeah.
I can
All
invite
he needs is as you well know, all he needs is a computer and this thing here. Now the problem with me next week is I'm going to be traveling all next week. So the next week after is better. The person you
Yeah.
really need to talk to is Kim because she's got the license to broadcast through TikTok. I just got my license, but I don't know how to work it. It's in other words, I work it pretty poorly right now because it's real complicated. So talk to Kim. She's in California, but she'll be back. Then she goes to California, and then she'll be back, and see when we can line up the World Talent show.
I just looked it up, and there is an Islam game show on the Islam channel called Five Pillars. And so,
Right.
all right. So Bangladesh has 150 million Muslims, and
Right.
it's one of the top 4 countries in the world with a number of Muslim people. And there's a way to do it where you don't even have to write questions because some people in Islam compete to see how many verses they can memorize. So you can turn that into a game show, and all you need is like an authority on the Quran who can say, yeah, that they're getting the verses right.
this is very
I
interesting.
mean, we can start okay. Yeah, because we can definitely start this game show. I'm liking this idea. Hey, Nick, I don't know if you know this, but I know Toby doesn't, but I went this past weekend on a bird watching tour. Anthony Wilson, who used to be on TV and was on, I think he was on both ABC and CBS because they switched management at different times during his, I want to say 25 to 30 year career and all along those lines. He's an avid bird watcher, so he turned me on to Merlin, which is a bird app and everything like that. So we can even start a bird show because literally I can play the songs of the birds and then y'all have to guess which bird it is and everything. So this could be a whole bird show if y'all want.
Yeah. Well,
You just
again,
learned about Merlin?
the key
Say what?
thing is
I'm just now learning about Merlin, Jacoby. I was behind. I was learning. I was behind.
Yeah.
You were already on Merlin, Jacoby?
Yep.
What is
Yeah, Merlin is fun.
Had
What is
Merlin for about
Toby, talk to me. What is it? What are we talking about?
about 5-6 years. Well, maybe even longer than that. 8
Merlin
years.
was developed by, I know you don't like the Ivy Leagues, but Merlin was developed by Cornell and everything, but it literally listens to the birds around your neighborhood and will tell you what the bird is. So literally, it was like last night or 2 nights ago, here in this apartment complex, there was an owl. I didn't even know we had owls in this part of the neighborhood, but it was up there making a hooting sound, and it was in my neighborhood. But it will identify various birds. I think in the last couple of days, it has identified something like 25, 30 different birds around the area.
Okay.
All right.
All right, I think I've
Here's
heard of it.
another idea where you get people to do your work for you. You have a show where people come and they pitch you show ideas, and then
That
the
sounds like
winning
this show.
pitch, you make that show, and then like you've roped all these other people into coming up with ideas for you.
Yeah, that's one thing, cultural one thing I just want to share with you because you go depth of Quran and the quiz and all of the things. If you see the South Asia, it has different culture, okay? And South Asian Muslim communities, they grew, it's called Sufism. You know about Sufism. Sufism is based on music, based on spiritual
Right.
developments, based on innovations, based on connectivities and all of the things. It's not like, honestly speaking, Bangladeshi Muslims or even Pakistan and in India, they are more moderate. by born. It's not so defensive what we see in this. Uh, Saudi Arabia is moving, Qatar is moving, Dubai is moving, UAE is moving. But what we see is 10, 20 years before. Now everybody is progressive. So the Sufism is something what Nick is trying to say, like music, like dance. Sufism also has dance, right? Even though it's Islamic dance, music and all
Yeah,
of that.
sure.
So it's a spiritual development. So
Yeah.
Islam is more open. Even when I do research and I work closely with the Jewish community, I find we have 90% similarities, almost.
Yeah.
Jewish, Muslim, Christian, we have all of the similarities. According to Bibles or Jewish books and the Quran and all of the things. Like we have many similarities, but around the world, we only discuss about the conflict. We
Oh,
never
right,
discuss
right. Yeah.
about the similarities. So what Nick is discussing,
Yeah.
he is 100% correct in the Sufism, the philosophy of Sufism and all of the things. And it's better. Like I want an open world. I do not want uh,
Yeah.
extreme religious things. I want more. I want to be open.
Yeah, a world talent show would work really well for the network because it's very inexpensive to produce. All we have to do is send the person a link, okay, just like you have your link, okay, except what they do is they now perform the talent in front of the panel. We have the panel right here. We're the untalented ones, okay, and then the thing is, I don't have administrative control, but you give them full screen, then you do the split screen. I mean, StreamYard would work really well for it. And YouTube would also work. I mean, not YouTube, but TikTok, because you're just going to get a lot of views. It's just a different operating system.
Hey,
But you have
Nick, I hate to throw salt into the plans and everything, but as Jacoby knows and others know as well, we are airing on several social media platforms and everything like that. So the only question I've got around this great plan is the notion, and Jacoby knows where I'm going with this, of licensing, because Facebook, which we air on, and YouTube, which we air on, and a number of the other ones that we air on, will knock us off in a heartbeat. So it might be something that is only aired to
why would they knock off a world
Because
talent?
if it's a talent show and somebody is singing a popular song, you haven't licensed that song.
which is what most people do on talent shows.
Oh, you're right. Okay, what you said is really important. Now, remember, we're going through TikTok, but TikTok is also very sensitive to doing things right. And something we're going to have to check is to make sure, Dr. Sharif, that the song that they're singing is not copyrighted. Okay. In terms of dancing, I don't think there's any dances that are copyrighted right now. So I think in dancing, we're good to go. But in the songs, there has to be an original song or a song that's so bloody old, or a religious song that's not copyrighted. Because what Mark pointed, which is correct, we will get knocked off. We'll get they'll take our network down. They've done that many times. Because
I believe you also have to avoid creating an attractive nuisance where you can't encourage people to do things that might hurt them. Like
yeah. If somebody's doing something dangerous, then
if
we have
somebody's
to
swallowing swords, or if somebody is playing with fire, and you don't knock them off saying we can't let you do that, then you're encouraging it.
Yeah, the thing is, we may have to, before they go on the air, do a preview off the air of their act.
But we can make a plan, right? We can make a plan. What type of talent we can invite?
Dancing and singing are the best. Okay. But you have to put down singing songs that are not copyrighted. In other words, you can't sing. What's a copyrighted song that's popular? I don't listen to.
You can't do any Lady Gaga. You can't do any Michael Jackson. You can't do any Prince. So you can't do any. There's several.
Like Staying Alive is probably a copyrighted song by the Bee Gees. You can't do that. Okay. So as much as they would like to sing Staying Alive, we're going to say no. But if they want to sing something that's non-copyrighted, then that's okay. In other words, it's got to be more original songs in terms of that. But it might be a good idea, Marcus, to do a preview off the air before we put them on the air, just so like
Yeah.
what Rick was saying, if somebody's going to swallow a sword or do something that's potentially dangerous, we don't want to get them on the air for hundreds of millions of people to watch, and then all of a sudden we get strikes or they sing something that is not appropriate. Now, because we'll have administrative controls, we can take them down. Okay, in other words, if they start doing something, I can press a little button. I can't do it now because Mark took away my administrative controls, but you can actually press a button and get rid of them, you know. So, but it would be better actually to have a preview of what they're doing before they go on. You know,
Yeah.
so
That makes sense. Getting back to the news, I got a quick question for both Elon and Rick and everything. Well, actually, I got two quick questions because this has been a
Elon.
fascinating conversation, and we got 20 minutes to go and everything. But Elon apparently is mad at Trump, and apparently is thinking that everybody that is a Republican that voted for this bill needs to be fired. So, what is our thoughts about the bromance being over? Because apparently the bromance is over because he is going after Trump and this the big wonderful bill.
So this is early days. We don't know how this breakup is going to, like, people have speculated, late night comedians have speculated that usually if somebody was this critical of Trump, Trump would bite back, hit back and call him all sorts of horrible stuff. But Trump has not done this yet. And people speculate it's because Musk gave him $288 million for his campaign. So Trump may be reluctant to cut off, the world's richest guy.
yeah, and also remember, Elon has the big tuba. He's got Twitter, which is now X, which he can beam through. So he has a lot of people listeners. But here's what because I did see his tweet because I'm on his feed. He goes, well, I don't think we cut enough money out of the budget. Okay, let's say that's true. Then you go back and cut some more. But that's not the problem. And this is what really gets me about how hypocritical these people are. It's the giveaways of the billions to people like him in terms of tax cuts. I mean, don't they get this? You can't sit there and destroy people's Medicaid and then turn around and hand a billionaire or even a millionaire $400,000. I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. So, yeah, Rick.
Musk has said things along the lines of nobody should vote for anybody in Congress who has voted for this bill. And if he's going to follow, people are afraid, politicians are afraid that he's going to put his money where his mouth is. And in 2026, he will fund campaigns against anybody who supported this budget bill.
Oh, really? Well, that'd be cool.
And nobody knows how that would go because we don't know, would he support Democrats running against Republicans? Would he support Republicans in primaries against
running? Yeah, I mean, all this is left to be played out. That's the political drama that goes on every day on the Pod TV network. Some people like it because it's contentious. Some people don't because it's contentious. The World Talent
Well, speaking of that drama, are we going to be opening up a DC office? And when is that DC office going to be there? And what time will Jatovi be reporting from DC?
It's going to be after September 5th because I got to close on this house before I go buy another one. I have been actively searching, Mark, and it's not DC. We're in DC, as you know. And the thing is, I want to be on the other side of the Potomac so that we're close in to we can just saunter on down and park ourselves, assuming we can. Steve says we can on the front lawn of Congress, and then Pod TV will be right square center. Then I'll go to Washington a lot. I probably have to get a U.S. address because I went to get my shingles vaccine here. This is the United States problem, right? I was denied coverage. Wait a minute, I'm on Medicare. Medicare doesn't cover vaccines. I didn't know that. I have a Health Advantage plan. Your Health Advantage plan expired. I'm going like, okay, so health-wise, I'm screwed, right? Yeah, that's right. You can go ahead and die. No, I won't. I'm going to go back to Spain where they have good health care, and I'll get my shingles vaccine there. But it's almost like unless you have a U.S. address, they treat you like the U.S. health system here is pretty well screwed up. You know.
It's totally messed up and everything. Hey, Rick, just really quickly, because I did see another article earlier that talked about a spike getting ready to happen in a new variant of the coronavirus. So, what's going on with that? And have you heard anything similar?
In three
you noticed-
hours, we're going to have the medicine show with Dr. Patmos,
Yeah.
and
on
he's
breaking news
based
like
out of Hawaii. And he can tell us, he's on the front lines, because this latest variant that's spiking it came out of Hong Kong and is hitting East Asia hard, which means that Hawaii is getting hit first because Hawaii is the closest state to Asia. And if you look at the national COVID map, yeah, Hawaii is lit up with COVID hotspots. So
Yeah.
That's what I thought. I thought it was lit up and everything.
Well, that's
Go
the
ahead.
reason. Notice I changed the title from Medicine and Science Breaking News because of what Mark said. Breaking news brings a lot of people in. So now the show today is going to be Medicine, Science, Breaking News. It also gives the commentators a lot of leeway to discuss things like what you just discussed, Mark, of breaking news, hot topics. I didn't hear about COVID, rampaging through Hawaii, but I'm sure Dr. Patmos will be up to date with it. And
Well,
we'll
he'll be
have
up
that
to-
in a couple hours.
Well,
And then we have
speaking of breaking news, and this is something that could be concerned, maybe not as much to Dr. Sharif in Bangladesh, but definitely Ukraine, definitely Israel. And I saw this news story that came up and everything, because apparently, and it's not that far from you when you're back in Spain, but Cologne, Germany, is evacuating thousands of citizens because they realized that they got a bunch of World War II bombs that weren't diffused. So they're going to diffuse these bombs that have been around for close to 80 years and everything like that. So is this going to be a problem around the world? We're going to have a lot of unexploded bombs that might decide to explode at any moment because they're evacuating like 20,000 people.
No, because World War II was 80 years ago. So
That's what I said.
Sorry. So most of those unexploded bombs have been found, and probably a lot of them don't even work anymore after 80 years of being buried. Where you've got a huge problem is if they ever solve Ukraine, Russia, there are thousands of square miles that have hundreds of thousands of landmines placed there. And that will take, using traditional methods, decades to clean up.
right.
There's a huge opportunity for some company to come up with landmine robots to get in there. And
Well, first of all, they need to end the war in Ukraine. I mean, the thing is, first things first before you do that. I mean, the thing is,
You got to end the war in this deal. They just bombed a bunch of Russia and everything. Hey, Rick, I got another one for you as well, because I know you're always talking about
COVID for a sec, because I just pulled up the latest chart from the CDC, the national COVID map based on poop water, where they look at sewage and find out how much virus is in there. Hawaii is lit up, and San Francisco, Sacramento, the whole kind of Northern California area is looking worse than it has. So if you're on the West Coast, you might consider getting a booster.
So,
And,
another one you guys are overlooking because there's tons of things going on. And Mark, I know you're going through on there on the web, but no, did y'all know the fun part you guys were just talking about, the talent show. I think you should make it into a comedy show and actually have people do skits rather than
but what happens? They're not
make
funny.
a series. But
But you need to find
if it's not funny, kick them off. That's the funny part. It's the Gong Show for the internet. That's what it would be. So
that's not funny. Click.
But so the scary thing, because yes, COVID's one thing. There are some other ones that are out there, but there's one that's actually growing. And I was actually watched the show about it today. I can show you all the show. It was actually kind of neat, which I didn't really know about. The screwworm. Y'all know about the screwworms?
Sounds something that Rick would be an expert in, but go on.
So, just for your edification, here we go. Nick, this is something that you can enjoy, I think. It's real short. It's not really, I mean, we can talk about it, more. But there you go. Mark can add that on if he wants to. But the
from South America.
screwworm is actually making a comeback. We were actually helping in Panama to keep the screw. Well, we couldn't go into South America and do it in Brazil because that's where it was running rampant. We had basically eradicated it out of certain places, but it's making a comeback. And Panama was one of our places that we were actually protecting it, or protecting the U.S. because we were actually. This is actually kind of new.
Right now, 100 million radiation-blasted flesh-eating flies are raining down over the jungles of Panama to commit a genocide that can never end. Their tiny bodies are rebuilding a wall of flesh that protects an entire continent. This is one of humanity's most successful wars, going on for over 50 years now, fought from Central America to the deserts of Libya. Okay, so what's going on? The unbeatable flesh-eating fly. We need to talk about one of the most terrifying parasites on Earth for a moment. Don't worry, we won't make it too gross. If you want to skip this part, jump to the next chapter.
No, here.
Cochleomya hominivorax, which literally means the man-eater. The New World screwworm fly at home in the Americas. Each of these metallic blue-green flies with the bright red eyes that exist in nature is here because it's feasted on the flesh of a warm-blooded animal. Cochleomya can detect wounds and smell blood across vast distances. If a human, a deer, or a squirrel has the tiniest scratch, female screwworm flies will try to lay eggs in the wound. When they hatch, the worms start eating healthy flesh with sharp mandibles, causing horrible wounds, attracting even more flies. In serious cases, the animal will die, or at least be severely weakened. Cochleomya doesn't add anything positive to the world and is a natural enemy of ours. For most of history, this parasite was simply a horrifying fact of life in the Americas. And then we accidentally created a paradise for them. As farmers introduced millions and millions of cows to the vast expanses of the southern US, screwworms became a catastrophic problem and a source of endless suffering for our defenseless cattle. One outbreak might wipe out herds and lead to cruel, lingering deaths for countless animals in the wild. Traditional pesticides were useless against Cochleomya because you couldn't poison something that lived inside a living animal's flesh. You couldn't prevent animals from getting injured or flies from finding wounds. The situation seemed hopeless, and Cochleomya was winning. Ranchers had to spend countless hours examining their herds, treating wounds, trying to protect newborns, watching helplessly as their animals suffered. And then two scientists in the 1950s had an idea that was too wild to be taken seriously at first. What if we kind of nuke the screwworms? Radioactive parasite factories. Screwworm flies have a major weakness. Female Cochleomya can lay up to 400 eggs multiple times. But they only mate a single time before they die at the ripe old age of 3 weeks. So what if we could somehow disrupt the mating process? What if we could flood the environment with sterile male flies? The females would waste their one and only chance at reproduction on males that couldn't produce offspring. An entire species could theoretically mate itself out of existence. But how do you sterilize millions of flies without killing them or making them too weak to compete for mates? Well, it turned out the timing to do this was kind of perfect. Scientists studying the effects of radiation had discovered that specific doses could damage reproductive cells while leaving the rest of an organism intact. So all we needed to do was figure out how high this dose was for Cochleomya, breed millions of flies, irradiate them, and release them over thousands of square kilometers. Imagine explaining this idea to someone in 1950. Imagine the scale of the damage and the suffering that Cochleomya caused for people to say, okay, sure, let's try this, why not? To prove this could work, scientists built a screwworm paradise in Florida and shipped millions of flies to the remote island of Curacao. Long trays were filled with ground beef and horse meat, animal blood, milk, and eggs. Thousands were bred, irradiated, and released into the wild in regular intervals. As the weeks and months passed, more and more of the Cochleomya on the island were infertile and mated with regular ones. First slowly, and then suddenly, they were no more. Completely eradicated. It was time to think much bigger. Over the next few decades, a war was declared and professional worm factories established to breed them by the billions. A single plant in Texas alone needed 70 tons of meat and 12,000 gallons of blood to breed 150 million flies per week. The disgusting mix had to be kept warm because they had to believe they were inside a living animal. This lovely process made the insects smell so bad that airlines initially refused to transport them. Their transport boxes had to be sprayed with cologne just to get them on planes. Bit by bit, in a slow-moving wave of biological warfare, the program eradicated screwworms. First from Florida, then across Texas, through Mexico, and into Central America. Every step required billions of sterile flies, massive coordination, and unwavering dedication from thousands of workers. It was an incredible victory of humanity over the horrors of nature. In 1988, the war suddenly became global, and for the first time ever, screwworms escaped to Africa. The stakes were astronomical. If not stopped immediately, flesh-eating Cochlear maya could move down the Nile Valley around the North African coast and conquer regions where medical care was scarce or non-existent. The potential suffering was incalculable. To stop this invasion, a Herculean operation was triggered immediately. Hundreds of millions of sterile flies were flown in. Ground teams inspected millions of animals for wounds. Communication campaigns explained to locals why planes were dropping boxes full of millions of flesh-eating American flies. But it worked. In just 4 months, the invasion was stopped. But Cochlear maya still held a firm grip over the Amazon rainforest and much of South America. An area too large, politically complicated, and expensive to expand the war further. So a deal was made with Panama, the narrowest part of the continent. The US and Mexico would pay for a wall of flesh in the small country. It would prevent any screwworms from reaching the north ever again. Today, deep in Panama, a nuclear worm factory runs 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, producing an endless stream of sterile flies. The technology has come a long way from the early days. Instead of ground meat, a brown protein sludge made from powdered blood, milk, and eggs is piped into trays stacked in rooms kept at exactly the same temperature as living tissue. Thousands of flies are then carefully irradiated with precise doses of radiation, creating Cochlear maya that acts normal but are dead inside. Each week, 100 million flies are loaded into rotating dispersal machines to be released mid-flight in a finely tuned balance of drop rate, speed, and altitude. The flight paths are separated by precisely 1.6 kilometers in a choreographed aerial ballet, creating an invisible wall of sterile flies. Surveillance teams cover some of the most remote and challenging terrain to check animals for injuries and monitor for any sign of screwworm activity. Unfortunately, right now, the wall is failing and the war against Cochlear maya is far from over. Cochlear maya strikes back. In 2016, Cochlear maya somehow made their way back to the Florida Keys, turning the Paradise Islands into a nightmare. Key deer were suddenly walking around with gaping wounds. Millions of sterile flies were rushed in from Panama, creating a front around the outbreak and beginning the eradication again. Within months, the invasion was at least contained. And in late 2023, the wall in Panama failed and Cochlear maya struck back immediately. Like a parasitic firestorm on speed, it spread again all over Panama and Costa Rica, burning through Central America and even reaching Mexico. The worm factory now produces sterile worms at maximum capacity. It's a real biological emergency, and it's not clear when it will be over. One day, we might be able to win the war against this horrible monster. We did so before, and other parasites have been eradicated from much of the world or even entirely. So if you find yourself in Central America and see a low-flying plane overhead, maybe you're witnessing another day in one of humanity's most unusual wars. A war we can never stop fighting and can't afford to lose.
Kind of freaky, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy.
And
you know what's interesting?
The issue is manufacturing capacity, right? Everything's working at maximum capacity, and still it's not enough to hold them off.
And you know what's interesting, though? When we're talking about COVID and RFK and all the other stuff, guess what else got cut?
What?
That program?
Money
That program?
program.
That program. That entire program is gone.
Was helping fund that program.
Yeah, so that got cut too. So now we can deal with the flesh-eating flies and all of that and everything. We're getting to wrap up,
Yeah.
and I know we got
I'm
the
really
other show
sorry to
coming
hear
on.
about it. I'll think about you guys when I'm in Spain.
I'm
you
coming to
think
you.
about us
Rick.
in Spain.
Get out of here. I'm not gonna
Yeah,
have no
you trying to
worms crawling in me.
trying to
I
get out
don't
of
want
there.
to. I don't want to rub it in, but I'll think about you guys when I'm in Spain.
All right, I'll see you in a couple hours.
All right,
See you in a couple of hours.
I don't even remove myself. I'll leave.
Yeah, I'll remove everybody slowly but surely, and then I got to remove him. Yep, I'll remove myself.